Mr. Speaker, we are now all aware that a member of the government committed July 25, 2014 to a $5 million purchase without going through Treasury Board approval or tendering. It has been termed a very aggressive attempt to avoid tendering a $5 million contract for the purchase of flood-fighting water-containing tubes, a purchase which was apparently committed to July 25th and then made and invoiced on August the 5th, 2014, before any tendering. Will the Premier refer the matter of this concerning attempt to have an untendered contract for $5 million in 2014 to the Auditor General?
Speaker, a whistleblower complaint was put in front of the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman investigated that complaint and discontinued his investigation based on the information he received from the Clerk of the Executive Council. That is the appropriate process. That is the reason we were the first government in Canada to put whistleblower protection in place. And that is the reason we respect the role of the Ombudsman in that. And we have now reviewed that legislation and have been given advice on how to strengthen it. We have brought forward that bill in this House in this session. We'd be pleased to pass it as soon as the members opposite are willing to vote on it, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the Premier may not refer the matter to the Auditor General, but I want to inform the Premier that the Manitoba Liberal leader, Rana Bokhari, and I are writing to refer this important matter to the Auditor General. On another matter, Mr. Speaker, the matter of conflict of interest for the Minister of Infrastructure in relation to the purchase of flood-fighting water tubes. The matter, if true, is a very serious matter. When will the Premier be writing to the Auditor General to review this conflict of interest issue in an attempt to bypass a tendering process, in this case of a $5 million purchase?
Again, Mr. Speaker, the member would have to be specific. If he's suggesting there's a conflict of interest, that was addressed by requiring any contract to be let for flood protection equipment to be done through a competitive process. That's what the Ombudsman investigated based on a whistleblower complaint. That whistleblower brought that information forward. The whistleblower brought that information forward. The Ombudsman followed up on it, investigated to see if there was an issue. When it was confirmed to him that a proper tendering process was put in place, he decided to discontinue that contract. The Ombudsman can be called upon again by any other whistleblower, including any member of this legislature. They can take advantage of the whistleblower legislation, and they can even strengthen the protection for themselves if they pass the legislative amendments we've put forward today. If they want to have even stronger protection for any whistleblowing complaint they wish to make, they can pass that legislation, and we can act on that right away, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, it's alarming just how freely today's NDP government can ignore accountability and transparency in their dubious procurement practices. The Premier also delivered a concerning message in the Legislature March 20, 2014, when he said it wasn't necessary for the Auditor General to investigate the 30-year exclusive license to operate Manitoba's property register that today's NDP government sole-sourced to Ontario's Terranet. Will the Premier today acknowledge the vital role of the Auditor General on behalf of Manitobans and request a review of both the Terranet and the 2014 flood-fighting equipment contracts?
Mr. Speaker, I strongly support the role of the Auditor General, which is why, as Minister of Finance, I brought forward amendments to strengthen the office, Mr. Speaker, and to allow them to do value-for-the-money audits. They are an independent office of the legislature. They have the right and the responsibility to investigate anything they wish and any priority they wish to assign to themselves. And they do that, and we take their reports seriously, and we follow up on their reports. If they wish to investigate the matters, they can do that. If the member opposite wishes to request them to do that, he will take that under advisement, Mr. Speaker. If he wishes to do it as a whistleblower, he can do that under the first legislation to be brought forward by any provincial government in Canada, legislation which we're prepared to strengthen. We are going to make sure there are more tools for people without fear or favor to bring forward concerns, either outside of the public service or inside of the public service. Whistleblower protection will be in place. They can also write to the Auditor General at any time to ask them to pursue these matters, Mr. Speaker, and the Auditor General will take that under advisement and decide if that's the priority they wish to pursue.